All right, guys, here we are. This is episode 1 of Poppy Talk. And wow, so we are here at the Golden Poppy, and we have decided to start a podcast about talking about herbs, what's hot, what's not, everything in between. We're going to talk about tons of herbal topics. Yeah, a million things, right? So, real quick, my name is Leesa. I am a certified aromatherapist here at the Golden Poppy. Amongst other things, I also manage and do other odd things in the back. And Jen.
I'm Genevieve. I work mostly in the kitchen, but I also work on the floor. I am an herbalist as well, and yeah, have all kinds of tasks here.
Yeah. I think we're really truly starting this podcast because we want to open ourselves up to the community and, you know, have that reciprocated back. We want people to come in and talk to us and just kind of open all these conversations up because there's so much to unpack with herbs. And I think I can speak for everyone when I feel like I learn something every day working here, whether it's from people coming in the store or from you guys or something I have to research. So it's herbs are and essential oils is a lifelong journey of learning. So yeah,
definitely wonderful. And should I mention our disclaimer?
Yeah.
So our disclaimer that we'll say for every episode, just as a reminder. We are not doctors. Nothing we discuss here today is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. And a reminder to consult with a qualified healthcare professional, whether that's a doctor, specialist, or clinical herbalist before starting any new protocol.
Yeah, very important. Just because it's natural, right? It doesn't mean it's safe. So always consult, you know, one of us or your doctor, like Jen said. Safety is always, you know, the biggest concern. So, probably wondering who this is. You probably know her. This is Brita. She's our hot tea of the day. Part of episode 1. This is a big deal, and we're nervous, and we're probably a little weird, but that's okay. So Brita, let me get to my questions here. Oh yeah, hot tea. Jen's gonna pour a tea.
Hot tea.
What are we drinking?
We've got the anti-inflammatory tea. Oh, no.
Oh, there you go. I think this tea is one of my faves.
Yeah, it's for sure one of the tastiest.
Oh, my gosh. People come in droves to get it. And it tastes good, too. There we go. Okay, so cheers. Brita LaTona, thank you for being our first guest.
Thank you so
Poppy
much
Talk.
for inviting me on to the first episode.
Oh my God, this is a big deal. So, okay, what started you in your herbalism world? Like, how did you get that going?
Yeah, it's kind of like a whole journey. I'll kind of start at the beginning, but give more of a Cliff Notes version, if I can. I originally was going to school and really was inspired by nature-based cultures, so I thought I was going to go into cultural anthropology. And then was like very influenced by recognizing that what my interest really was the healing with herbs and the healing with plant medicine that I was noticing that all of these cultures shared and had in common. So at that point, I started looking more into going into like an herbal medicine school and ended up at the Colorado School of Clinical Herbalism, it was called the North American Institute of Medical Herbalism at the time, and it was in Boulder. That was like my foundation of kind of like learning, but I really wanted to kind of jump off from there. And I did a couple of other programs that were more focused on like traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and the Four Humor system. And then somewhere in there, I ended up recognizing that Sarah Josie, the owner of Golden Poppy, also went to the same school in Boulder, and in a roundabout way, we realized that we had also worked at a sandwich shop years before, and she reached out to me soon after I'd like graduated from this program and said, like, you're one of the only people that I know up in Fort Collins. I'm trying to start this herbal apothecary. Would you want to help me out? And at first I was like, I'm so busy. And it's so funny because this turned into like being the most important like decision of my life. So ended up helping Sarah in her garage fill herb jars with some of these like that you see behind us to get it all started. And but in the midst of that, I took a trip to Costa Rica to kind of like study with an herbalist there and kind of learn more about like cross-cultural herbalism, and I was interested in all of that. So that's a little bit of like the way that journey kind of landed me in Golden Poppy. But my personal journey had always been like an interest in working with herbs for stress and anxiety, because that had always been something that I dealt with. So, and then I started seeing that they were really helping me and they really worked. And it was something that I really wanted to share with other people. So that's kind of what got me started on the journey. And yeah, and then it landed me here, and I met all of you guys. So.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Stress and
So
anxiety.
thankful.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is a huge topic. I think people coming in
Totally.
for that.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah. Would you say that's one of your main niches, you know, when you see clients and things like that?
I would, I feel like nervous system support is huge. I love working with people in the realm of like stress, anxiety, panic attacks, anything that working with the realm of herbs, of adaptogens, herbal nervines. And then of course that goes into like sleep issues, but yes, I love working with anxiety and stress. So many people are dealing with that. And so that like, but I do love working with people, thyroid issues, digestive issues, sleep, hormone related conditions too.
Could you go back to, because I know a lot, adaptogens is like, it's a hot word, right? People are coming in and like, I need an adaptogen, but do people really know what that means? Could you like just explain what is an adaptogen?
Yeah, adaptogens are like a fascinating class of herbs. So adaptogens really I like thinking of them kind of as a thermostat. They kind of really help regulate the system if things are in overdrive or if things are too depleted. So adaptogens, they act on the HPA axis, or what's known as the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, to regulate adrenaline and cortisol in the body so that the output is not constant and we're not always going from 0 to 10. So, but indirectly, adaptogens also build energy, cellular energy, immune function. They help regulate the endocrine function. So many different functions that they have, but primarily they do have to act on the HPA axis and have like an effect on cortisol and adrenaline to be considered a true adaptogen. So, and some adaptogens that people might be aware of are like ashwagandha, holy basil, but a lot of the functional mushrooms are also adaptogens. So like reishi, chaga, cordyceps, and things like that. So yeah,
Maybe we'll do a podcast all on adaptogens.
yeah, that would be super fun.
Yeah.
I love talking about that class.
Yeah.
of herbs,
We'll have
so.
you back for that one.
Yeah, I think we're gonna interview all the people that work here, and once we get through all of everyone's interviews, we're gonna start opening it up to more hot topics. And this, you guys can actually send us any questions or comments, concerns to poppytalk@goldenpoppyherbs.com if there's something you really are interested in, and we could definitely talk about.
Or a question you have just for Brita.
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
or
that.
myself, or Jen. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Who would you say, or who or what would you say are your favorite resources?
That's a great question, and there are a couple that have really stuck with me over the years. My interest has been in plant spirit medicine approach and like connecting with the plant world directly, and really this like mind-body healing, emotional wellness with herbs. So one of the primary resources for me is Stephen Buhner and his work with Secret Teachings of Plants, Sacred Plant Medicine. He's got some really amazing work in that realm. So that's been a huge influence, but I also really am inspired by Seja Popham out of the evolutionary school of herbalism, and Asia Suler and her like nature and earth-based work is also a huge inspiration. So those three definitely come to mind. There's always others, right?
Yeah.
Like Thomas Easley is like an amazing resource for medicine making, and you know, just like the list goes on. But then also Maria Noel Groves and her book Body into Balance has been a huge resource for me. And like
we do have that book here. So we'll start with the other books by those authors. What do you think has since you started your journey, what is if anything, has changed in the herbalism world?
I think that's a great question, right? Because like it's about like 10 or 12 years into it now, and it's like interesting for me in this community, and it's interesting to see like people are really a lot more interested in taking back their own health into their own hands. And I noticed like a huge, like there's a lot more education around this, but there's a lot more interest. I remember at the beginning when we first, people had no idea like what our shop was or what we did here. And, you know, and they would stumble in, but like a lot of people like seek out the shop now because they're looking for specific plants. They really want to work with, alternative health practitioners now. And while I think that was there somewhat, I just feel like it's just kind of exploded. Like the functional mushrooms as being like a huge movement, like you see these trends in happening. But I feel like overall there's like just like for preventative care, people are like a lot more interested in incorporating like herbs and teas and into their like daily life. Yeah. And just like it's part of what people talk about.
Which I think is so important.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and such a huge part of this world, just kind of like daily care. So,
and you do classes as well.
Yes.
So the educational piece is important to you.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming classes right now?
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I do love teaching workshops and classes. I am in the midst of my Plant Allies project, which is a huge project that I started last year, so it's about 16, 17 right now, paintings of Rocky Mountain medicinal plants, and then I've made corresponding medicinal plant tinctures and flower essence and things that go with the whole project, and this year is the first year that I'm going to launch the workshop side of it, so it's going to be an interactive part of it, so we're going to hopefully go into some places in the canyon and nature areas in town where we will like make our own, sit with the plant, make our own plant medicine, and also there will be an art component of either like some print making or painting a plant. So that's going to be, I also will be doing some wild plant medicine, like plant walks. And yeah, so I'm really excited for some fun things coming up.
Yeah, because you are an artist too. I'm not sure if we mentioned that, but you are like a pretty well-established artist in this town. And she painted our mural. She has tons of artwork here for sale. So yeah, you are one talented lady.
Appreciate that.
So how do you, like, in practicing plant spirit medicine, because maybe not everyone knows what that means, how do you practice that? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so for me, plant spirit medicine or like nature-based practices is a huge piece of like reconnecting with the plant world. I really see like the plant spirit medicine approach as kind of like connecting with the plant world directly, right? So we are going out and communing with plants is the best way to describe it. It is really like a more of a mind-body approach. So energetic, emotional, tuning into the plant world. One of the best like techniques that I love to like get people started with is like what I call the deep noticing technique. So it's like about kind of activating all senses by going and finding a plant that you feel called to, sitting in the vicinity of that plant or plant stand, and it's about what you notice about that plant. You know, what do the leaves look like? Where does it grow? And then also, what does it smell like? If there is a scent, what are the, and then also, what are any of the sensations that come up in your body as you're sitting with that plant? Any thoughts that come up? Any, sort of like sensations in any part of the body? And so obviously we go through a lot of like the different elements, but we don't necessarily talk about tasting the plant unless you're with, but I do really like to activate a lot of like the different senses. So it's really this deep noticing technique. That's one of the best ways to start like interacting with the plant world directly. Even if it's a plant you don't know, you can journal as you kind of get to know this plant. If it's safe, you can like look into making a tea with it and start interacting with it in different ways. And that just like, that's one of the best ways to start, is, to me, it's really important to kind of like connecting with our own essential selves, essential nature, by like connecting with nature in that way.
Well, and sitting in nature,
yes.
I think like is just
so
feels
healing,
amazing anyways. So like that would even be just like a start to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's always my favorite too, when you learn of a plant and then it just shows up everywhere for you.
Then you
and
start
it's
seeing
the
it everywhere.
Best feeling in the world.
It totally is.
Yeah, awesome. Would
Maybe
you
more
say
some
that you
questions?
have? Let me tailor it because you were talking about local plants. Do you have a favorite local herb that you like working with?
I love that question, and it's like it always changes, like with this
Totally.
like different phases and stuff. But I will say, like a plant that is definitely an ally and continues to be an ally for me is Monarda or bee balm. This plant is just like amazing and kind of has this sort of like very bright energy. It does grow throughout the Rocky Mountains, and this one is one of the first plants that I ever sat with. It's like medicinally, it's a deep lung tonic, so it's a respiratory aid, very helpful for different kind of respiratory conditions and coughs. But it is one of like my favorites to work with, and I love that plant. And then of course there are a couple others that I really love throughout the Rocky Mountains too, like working with yarrow, amazing as well. So.
Absolutely.
When working like with those plants, like what kind of medicine are you making with Monarda or yarrow? Like,
so what I really love to do is making like fresh plant tinctures. So working with wild plants and then like immediately making like fresh plant tinctures is sort of my favorite way to work with them. And it's always like really fun at the store when we get like fresh plant material in and then like be part of like the tincture making process. I do love that. But I also love making anything with wild plants, so infused honeys or wild plant vinegars. Those are some of like my favorite ways, but there's so many different like ways to work with plants. But I would say over the past couple years I've like worked more with wild plants, and so some of those are my favorite ways to make medicine.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
I do have one more, kind of going back to your artwork a little bit, but when I've some of the paintings that I've seen, and maybe we can link it in like the show notes, like your website or something, so people can like look up your work, are very specific, like plucks kind of out of nature. And I was just curious how you decide that. Or is it just like, if it's a spot that you sat that you really enjoyed, or you know, if it's just something you fabricate, or if it's the exact site, or
I actually love that question too, because part of the way that I've really connected with plants is just like taking off and just like exploring all throughout like northern Colorado. And so actually a lot of the paintings do come from actual places I've been. So there's one of Arnica, for example, that was like on Lady Moon Trail, like that was the inspiration. There's like one of Fireweed, which is like a really important one to me because of the regeneration after wildfires is part of that plant's medicine. And that one was like Kroger Peak Trail, which is like near Lyons. So all of these do have like a basis in like an actual space that I connected with, or they're like photos of plants that I grew in my garden.
Totally.
And which is, and then
just
like
as important.
Exactly.
So tangible.
So garden plants as medicine are also super important. So both, there's a mixture.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I think this pretty much concludes our first episode ever of Poppy Talk. Again, we encourage you to send us an email at poppytalk@goldenpoppyherbs.com. You can ask us questions, you can comment, anything you like. But you can also come in and chat with us. Usually one of us will probably be here. And as the famous playwright said, where there is tea, there is hope. And so that's what we hold on to. And try a new cup of tea today. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Cheers. Thank you, Brita.
We'll see you guys soon.
And thank you, Amber.